familiar faces, some not familiar faces, so welcome everybody. What I usually would like to do is start by asking you what brought you here and what you would like to leave with more information about, or what kind of life change would you like to see, health transformation from something I could share with you. Want to start?
She brought me here.
She dragged you in,
Yeah.
okay, and why did you agree? Because
Because
the weather's nice out there.
She's going through like a process right now that I'm like familiar as well, like I'm going through that process as well, and so.
So what one thing do you want to know more about in your own health? Is it energy, is it sleep, is it
Energy,
metabolism, is it?
energy.
Okay, so you want more energy, okay. Okay. Sorry, that's kind of a silly marker I have there.
For me, it's bioidentical hormones. I
Okay.
want to know more about that.
Okay, so that's a little bit on the advanced side, but just health. I want like a problem that I'm gonna help you solve. So what health concern do you have? Do you have,
Craving,
say,
cravings.
cravings, okay. That I know about. Not that I don't know about hormones, but it's not a problem. It's a more explanation thing. Colleen? If you could leave here knowing one thing about something that solves a health issue.
Thinning skin.
Thinning skin, okay. Okay, Jeremy.
I've sort of been seeing energy is the big one for me. Yeah. And knowing a little, just about what you talked about that other day when there was a meeting, I feel like a doctor that covers basic stuff, but you're a bit more knowledgeable, so that's why I wanted to maybe get a bit more help.
Okay, thank you. So in-depth assessment and analysis. Is it Nikila?
Many things.
Pick one, two, or three.
Just one thing, I was told you do a lot of, I have stomach problems. And hormone issues that I'm just changing.
Okay, so digestive things.
Yes, big time.
Okay, that was part of my plan for today.
Oh, awesome. Just for me.
Pain, arthritis, things like
I
that.
like that.
Falling apart.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Falling apart.
I have that problem.
All of
Me too.
general
Falling
falling
apart is
apart.
horrible.
Do you have the tape? Because usually we tear this off and we stick it somewhere.
Yeah,
So-
it's on the.
Here.
It's right behind you.
Okay, well, I'm not about to do that, so we'll get you to do that if you don't mind taking this page. Just maybe stick it right there, so then I can refer to that. Alright, so we have lots to cover tonight. Hopefully we'll have enough time. I speak very fast, so if you can keep up, I can go faster. You can just stick it on there. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so some of you have already joined the process, some of you have started and stopped. And, you know, when I opened this clinic 19 years and 2.5 months ago, I did so because longevity and healthy aging was very high in my mind. And why it was is because well, I'm only 25 now, but when I was 32, I felt like my whole life was falling apart. I could not function more than 6 hours a day. I had every symptom of low thyroid. I was seeing a specialist at the time, an endocrinologist who specializes in hormones. And he kept saying, your tests are all normal, you're fine. And I'm like, my hair's falling out in chunks. I look at food and I grow. I exercise, I diet, I can't lose weight, I'm cold all the time. I never wore a t-shirt or shorts all summer for years because I was so cold all the time. My skin was so dry it cracked. These are all symptoms of low thyroid. But my tests were all normal. And it just got worse. I started to get migraines, 17 migraines a month, minimum. So I spent almost every day in pain. I'd look in the mirror and go, what happened? Because if you looked at my pictures, I looked very different a year prior, and suddenly there I am, looking old, feeling old. Every part of me hurt. I had adult onset asthma. I got allergic to the sun. I'm from Africa, for goodness sake. How could I be allergic to the sun? You know, and I had all these weird things. I had postnasal drip. I was on nose sprays, inhalers, medication for my headaches. And I'm allergic to almost everything. So then they decided that I was depressed and I should try an antidepressant. And I was like, how is an antidepressant going to solve all these issues I have? And they were like, oh, you're having the issues in your mind because you're depressed. And I'm like, no, there's really something wrong with me. And I was desperate for solutions, and that is when I realized that as big as my ego was, because you know South African doctors are considered some of the best trained in the world, we were highly recruited here to Canada, medicine offered me no solution at all. Just pills and more pills and more pills, and I just felt worse and worse and worse. And in 2004, we moved to Calgary. And I had a family practice, and a patient brought me a book. And she said, I know you're so busy, but you are the only doctor I know who would be open to such a thing. And this book was on bioidentical hormones, and it was about the role of hormones and what they play in our health. And you know, I had an ego bigger than the room because I'm from South Africa. We could walk into any job anywhere in the world. People knew how well we were trained. And I'm reading things in this book going, I never learned any of this. I didn't know that women needed testosterone for their brain to work better. I didn't know that so many other functions in the body were related to hormones. I mean, I had 2 weeks of education in hormones and that was it. And then you did gynecology and you learned how to write birth control pills and some estrogen here and progesterone there, and then if it didn't work, you doubled it, and if it didn't work, you doubled it again, and if it didn't work, you wrote them an antidepressant. That's literally what we did. I was a resident in Obs and Gynae. I can tell you that that's what we did. And so when this book came and my brain was exploding, I was reading all of this going, oh, that's me, I need this, I need that, I need that. And I was like, oh my God, my whole life's gonna change. Like I had that much faith in this. So I started researching and studying on hormones and more about like what this doctor was talking about. He was doing brain scans on women, on female lawyers at different parts of their cycle, and he could show you that they performed better in court when certain hormone levels were optimized, and that as they got older and they dropped their hormone levels, their brain didn't work as well. So, you know, when men think your wives are going crazy, they literally are if they're not getting hormones balanced, right? So you'll have to forgive them for no fault of their own. So I started training in this field, and I read the study, and it was about why there are certain places in the world that people live a long time, but they're healthy. So you're talking about those 90 to 100-year-olds who are still working, looking after grandkids, climbing hills, working in the rice fields, or doing whatever young people do. And I know that there's books on the blue zones and the Okinawa diet, and have you seen or heard of any of these things? So here's my take on, I'm gonna pause here for a second. The Okinawa diet is for Okinawans. We are not Okinawans. We don't have their genes, we don't have their environment, we don't eat their foods. So what is the point of looking at them and saying eat the way an Okinawan does? We don't have the same level of toxins. We don't have anything that the people in Okinawa had when the studies were done and they wrote the book. But why do we think that we can just go and mimic them and get the same results? So functional medicine, which is what I'm specialized in, talks is an approach to looking at systems and what is wrong and fixing it rather than treating the symptoms, right? So functional medicine looks at root cause. So my migraines, for example, didn't mean I was deficient in anti-migraine pills, didn't mean I had a deficiency in Tylenol. It meant something was not working in my body and the symptoms were migraines. If my tests were all normal and I had thyroid hormone, then functional medicine would say, why are you not able to use the hormones you have? What's wrong, right? So when they looked at these studies though, what they noticed about not just Okinawans, but people who lived long and well. So that's the difference between health span and lifespan. Lifespan is how long you live, health span is how well you live. What we want to do in longevity medicine is to take health span and lifespan and have them meet. So you just live an amazing life and boom. I don't expect you to live forever, but I want you to live well. So back to the people who lived long and well, who had health span in tandem with lifespan. What they found is that these people had hormone levels similar to those of much younger people. And their lifestyle and whatever they were doing, their bodies created hormones regardless of their age. And there were certain hormone levels that they maintained, and it gave them their health span. So when I started the clinic, it was because of that. I had watched my grandma die of not just medical errors, but she had diabetes. No one taught her how to eat properly. She took insulin, she ate what she wanted, and she adjusted her insulin. For those of you who know diabetics on insulin, what happens to them? They gain a big belly fat, right? Like a big belly, and it's full of fat on the inside. I'm sure you know people like this. So with diabetes, is it that you should just keep taking insulin and eat what you want, or should we customize for my grandma what she should have been eating for her body, her lifestyle, her activity, and all of that? And then she doesn't need as much medication that's giving her abdominal fat. So visceral fat is very dangerous. It's inflammatory. It's an increased risk for heart attacks, strokes, dementia, cancer, all of the things you don't want to get. So if you store belly fat easily, it's a huge risk. And so my grandma had a heart attack. She was told she needed a stent urgently. This was just a few days before my wedding. And I get this phone call in absolute panic saying, the doctor wants me to go for this stent, no, sorry, it was a bypass surgery. And I'm not gonna do it, I'll do it after your wedding. And I said, you sit right there in the hospital and you wait for me. And I was working 4 hours away, got someone to cover my on-call. I got there at 11 p.m. that night. And I said to her, you listen to the doctor. Do what they say. I just had a patient the other day. He went off to Edmonton, had his heart surgery, came back. He's doing just fine. There's no big deal. Well, my grandma, because she was diabetic, had blood vessels that were 20 to 30 years older. That's what happens in diabetes. Your body ages faster. Diabetes is a state of accelerated aging, especially vascular aging. That is why in our programs, we look for insulin resistance so that we can predict prediabetes. I'm saying predict prediabetes, not like your doctor who's going to find you when you're pre-diabetic. We're predicting you're going to be, and then we're going to reverse it. Had I known at that time what I know now, I would never have said that to my grandma. She ended up with a massive heart attack on the table. She ended up losing 60% of her heart pumping ability. She lost both her legs below the knee. So talk about health span versus lifespan. Talk about medicine not being preventive and not protecting health. Had my grandma done what we do with patients today, I'm not saying she'd still be alive, but she wouldn't have had to struggle with someone moving her from her bed onto a commode and wiping her bum. She wouldn't have had to live with the indignity of someone having to shower her and clean her and feed her for those days that were supposed to be the best days of her life. And yes, it still upsets me, right? Because we have the knowledge and we have the tools, and it didn't happen. So keeping that in mind and reading these studies about how to live long well, my grandpa had 5 strokes. We watched him be a vegetable. We watched him not knowing who we were every single day. He didn't remember who we were, didn't remember us coming to visit him. You know, the stroke, he lost half the function of his body, needed his toenails cut, needed his fingernails cut, needed feeding, wore a bib. Is that how any of us want to go? Probably not, right? So I lived that. I lived through that. And when I was reading these studies and reading about hormones and reading about bioidentical hormones, I was really convinced that with the right approach, we could help patients live longer and well with health span instead of just lifespan. So that's how I opened the clinic, based on that, saying that and at that time, my phrase was always, you age because your hormone levels decline. Your hormone levels do not decline because you're aging, which is the exact opposite of the traditional medical model. Because when you look at reference ranges for hormones, if you're 20-some, you have a range that says these are your hormone levels. But if you're 50-some or 60-some, sorry, I'm 25, but you know, what do they show? Lower levels. So when you look at age ranges for testosterone and you look at age ranges for estrogen and progesterone, it's normal to have low levels when you're old. No, you're old because you got the low levels. Because we just saw it in the studies that people who managed their hormone levels lived longer and well. So I'll say it again. You age because your hormone levels decline. Your hormone levels do not decline because you're aging. And as long as you manage your hormone levels, everything else will fall into place. Your health will be restored, you will feel better, and you will have health span. It is an exquisitely difficult process to follow.
Work.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So, some of you saw me draw this, so I am going to draw my triangle and the rest of you are going to fill it out. Because what I want to show you is the approach I developed and then take this deeper than what we talked about that day. Okay, let's get started. Who knows what's on my triangle? What do you remember?
Oh goodness, I have it on my phone.
Oh dear God, you're going to cheat.
The brain health, your
Okay,
mental, your
thank
mental
you.
health.
Yeah, okay. So mental, emotional, spiritual, yeah. Taka's gonna cheat now, he's gonna read it off to us, but Jeremy, you give me something.
If he finds it.
Is it physical?
Physical, thank you. So your physical body is here, yes. Oh, look at you go.
Hormones?
Yes. All right, so we're gonna go hormones here. So how this came about is, I mean, I had hormones in my blood apparently, but I couldn't feel them, right? Remember, my tests were normal, I was certainly, how many of you have had that? Your tests are normal, but you know you're not normal. How many of you have been to the doctor and had that happen to you? So almost everybody here. In fact, a nurse I work with, listen to this, a nurse I work with in the ER, he said to me, he said, can you please check my son out? And can you run his testosterone? And remember, I'm doing healthcare work, I'm not doing this kind of thing. And this is very foreign to people from the traditional medical model, right? And so he texts me today, and he says, oh, his testosterone's normal. And he said, you know, I really think my son has low testosterone because he's got this, and this, and this, and this, and this. He's cranky, he's moody, he's got no energy, his strength is not where it's supposed to be, and blah, blah, blah. And he sends it to me, normal. Do I have my phone? Hang on, I got it, just not betraying anyone's confidentiality, but check this out. So, his son's testosterone, you're not going to see that. Can you see that?
No.
Never mind. I'll go with this, right? So we've got 175 and we've got 700 is the range for testosterone. You're talking about an almost 20-year-old, and he is 270. 575 is the midpoint. Do you think he's normal? He is so far from normal. It's not even funny. But his doctor says he's normal because he's in the range. And I looked at that and I said, hey, we gotta talk. I don't know if you know I specialize in hormone and longevity and healthy aging. And literally this is so funny because he's the funniest guy I know, but I said, I don't know if you know that I specialize in hormone replacement therapy and advanced longevity in Calgary. Yes, I knew you were brilliant, but not to this extent. I just had to share that. Okay. But not to this extent. So I said to him, I will help you with this kid, but he does not need hormones. We need to get his body working. And the reason I bring this up is because everyone wants hormones. But one, hormones are only a tiny piece of the puzzle, which I will show you. And secondly, where in the range are you? Is that normal for you? And do you want to be like a 70-year-old when you're 20 or 50? Or do you want to be healthy? Because we already said what? What about people who live long and well? What's about their hormones? They keep it? They make it to higher levels. So do we want low levels? No, this kid is in an accelerated aging state already.
Where should it be for a 20-year-old?
So this is your midpoint.
Okay.
And so at the very least he should be here. But
20.
that's a 20-year-old. He's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be like somewhere over there because their hormones are surging, right?
Oh, okay.
But at the very least he should be right here.
What are some triggers for that kind of
So
situation?
that's what we're going to talk about, because it's not just about taking it, it's about can you make it and can you use it, right? So he's not making it. Because at 20, he should be making a shit ton, sorry. My kids are not here. You've heard that word before? Is that okay if I use it again? I'll try not to, but you know. He should really be making a shit ton of hormones right now. He should be all over everything. And he's not. So, hormones are, now some of you already heard all of this before, so fill me in. What are hormones, or what is a hormone? Anyone? What is a hormone?
Transmitter.
Thank you. So hormones are chemical messengers that regulate and direct every single function in your body. It'll make energy. It can help you with your appetite and cravings. Hormones affect whether your skin is healthy or not. Hormones affect your digestive system. Hormones affect whether you feel more or less pain. I'll tell you another story. So even though I'm 25, I graduated 30 years ago.
Good for you.
And 30 years ago, there was only a pill for every ill. Like there was no other thing. You came with a headache, you got a pill. You came with low energy, we went, I don't know, my God, got low energy. I mean, your thyroid's normal, your iron's normal, see ya. Right? If you said I have brain fog. Anyone here had brain fog? Ever? Yeah. Try telling your doctor that. And if I were your doctor at that time, try telling me that. I'll go, what the heck is that? No such thing. And I went to one of the best med schools in the world, and I know there's no such thing because we didn't get taught how to treat it. So if it didn't have a treatment, then could it really exist? As opposed to today, if someone tells me something and I say, I don't live in your body, so it has to be true for you. My job is to find out what's going on. Why are you feeling that way? I can't tell you you're not feeling what you're feeling. It's like them telling me I had depression when I had every physical symptom of low thyroid and no one wanted to figure out why, because there was no treatment. Do you know why? So I'm going to ramble about the pharmaceutical industry. Are you ready? Where do I even start and how do I say this being recorded? Okay, I'll tell you a different story. When I opened this clinic, a drug rep came by about 4 or 5 years after we had started. Oh, let me tell you about androgel. Androgel is testosterone gel. Did you know that diabetic men will control their sugars better if you give them androgel? I said, yes, I did. I know that you need optimal testosterone to manage your blood sugar levels. I knew this. I knew a lot of things about testosterone because I'd specialized in it. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I knew all of that. Thank you very much. Don't need your androgel. I compound. No. You should never compound medication. It is not approved. There's no science and there's not blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you, if I had to give you androgel, you'd need like 3 or 4 sachets and you'd run short on space on your body on where to apply it to get the right amount. So that's the biggest complaint for most men when they get given androgel. But why was I hearing about men and testosterone and blood sugar levels at that point? Because a drug company made a drug, now they had something to talk about, and they could sell a drug, so now they come around and they tell all of us doctors about testosterone. I'd already been compounding testosterone, not me personally, I can't pharmacy anything, but you know, I send prescriptions to a pharmacy, they make testosterone at the dose I tell them to make. And every dose I create is based on you and your levels. I don't just randomly give you a prescription for androgel, 2 sachets, cover your body, swim in it, rub it off onto your wife, give her a high testosterone, you know. Like, no. I can have you make this, I can have the pharmacist make this much cream with all the testosterone you need. You just put it on your arm, you rub it in, done, carry on. You didn't have to swim in it.
I've just been told to take androgel and I hate it. I didn't know that.
I'm taking it too.
You are?
So did I just make that stuff up or it's true? It's true.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I have so many stories to tell you, but here's the point of this one story, because I forgot all the other stories that are starting and stopping. But they only came around telling us about testosterone and its benefits because it was a drug. Prior to that, the studies were already there, but no one was talking about it because there was no drug to sell. So that's my point about pharmaceuticals. If there's a drug to sell, then everybody knows about it. It's like weight loss. So, and I've been accused of body shaming, I've been accused of all sorts of things because I'm very opinionated. But my opinions come from facts. The fact is, when you carry extra body fat, you are unhealthy and you are going to die earlier. End of story. I don't care if it's about how you look, about anything. I don't care if you can lift 200 pounds. There's a lady on the internet right now, she is grossly overweight, and I don't mean that in a gross as in disgusting, but she's grossly overweight. And she posts pictures of her big belly and the flab under her arms, but she can do a triathlon, she can lift this, she can do that. So she's promoting this love your body thing. So if she goes to a family doctor, how many tubes of blood do you get at your family doctor's office?
How many what?
Tubes of blood when you get your annual physical.
2? I think it's 2. 2 or 3?
3?
2 or 3.
Anyone with 4 or 5?
No.
No? And how many tubes of blood did you get from me?
Wow, a lot. They were
22
surprised. Yeah.
minimum.
Oh, wow.
It took time for them to go find all the stuff. They were surprised at the lab.
Right? So what can you tell on 2 or 3 tubes as opposed to 22? So if this lady in all of her glory, and I admire her for trying so hard, but my point being, and I've always said this, when you have extra body fat on you that you actually care that you have, like some people might not care. I mean, I see them drinking a 2 liter of pop and eating pizza in the mall, and then you go, okay, obviously you don't care that you're overweight. But for anybody who cares about the extra body fat, if you are trying to get rid of it and it's not going anywhere, what does that mean? Nothing? No. If your tests are all normal, does it mean nothing's wrong with you? No. First of all, you only got 3 tubes of blood. What can you tell from that? But secondly, does it not mean that your fat burning process has a problem? And that's what functional medicine does. It says, what is the problem and how do we fix it? If your problem is you can't burn fat, then my job is to find out why.
My doctor said that was normal because I was going through menopause.
I'm past menopause. I don't think I fall into that category.
No, but that's what I said. I'm like, I don't think that's normal.
Take a picture of me and show me.
Yeah, that's the answer that you always get. At this age for a woman, they always say,
Yeah.
oh, that's because you're going through
Yeah.
menopause. And that's it, end of the story.
I'm all done. And I'm so happy for that.
Hmm.
Okay, so you understand this whole thing about pharmaceuticals. There has to be a drug. So why I brought up fat and weight is now suddenly everybody's interested in obesity. Everybody's interested in weight loss because it's so unhealthy. Well, was it not so unhealthy 5 years ago? But we didn't have Ozempic 5 years ago. Or maybe, I don't know, I think it came out 5 years, I don't know when it came out. But 1 year before Ozempic came on the market, nobody was going on and on and on about obesity being a problem. They said it was a problem. They said it was a disease. They said it accelerated aging. But then they said, oh, it's okay. Your cholesterol's okay, don't worry about it. Your sugar is okay, don't worry about it. But suddenly we have Ozempic, so now everybody should be in the normal weight. You should check what Medscape, something that we subscribe to. So all the latest studies are coming out. Almost every week there's something about obesity now. And in my last news, did you guys get my newsletter?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't get onto my newsletter list after. Oh, you had to voluntarily sign up, or if Pastor Anthony sent out my email for me, then once you got on there, then you would get my newsletters. Did you get an email? Not yet? Well, both of you are going to have to ask him where the heck is that email, because I sent it to him. Yeah, so my last email was, do all roads lead to Ozempic? Because that's where medicine's going now. Everybody and their dog should be on Ozempic. They're even changing the definition of obesity now, so if you're, and I hate the BMI, it's the most useless thing I think, but anyway, now obesity is classified as 25 BMI with any other health condition. So obesity, 25 BMI, which wasn't considered obesity before, it's 30 and above as obesity, but now it's 25 with high blood pressure or abnormal blood sugar levels or, whatever else. So do all roads lead to drugs? No. On average, 80% of the patients who start our program will lose a minimum of 1 pant size for women. Unfortunately, men, we want to hate them. Can you please get some water? But men will get rid of a lot more. So we say 8 to 12 pounds for women, 12 to 18 for men. But what's interesting is that when they do our process, it's very targeted. Women will say, I didn't lose a lot of weight on the scale, but I can see my waist now. My belly is flatter. And you kind of go, how did that happen? It's because we're targeting the problems that lead to it. And I'm surprised nobody put weight here. Sorry, I'm not calling you guys fat, but I'm just gonna write fat right there. Thank you. Oh. way more than that. So that is a symptom something else is wrong. All of those things tell you that there's something not right in your body. So should we not go and put it right and then the symptoms go away? So the other story I was going to tell you is about these two men that before I knew about functional thinking, before I knew about functional medicine and all of these root cause approach and finding out exactly what's going on, I had a man in my office and I was filling in a disability form for him because he had arthritis in his back. And I was the one that had sent him for the x-rays, he had all this pain and he couldn't work and all of this and all of that. And then that night I was on call and a man came in with kidney stones. And when you do a KUB x-ray, you see the spine anyway. So I'm looking for the kidney stone. I'm like, yeah, I think you have it. But I mean, classically, he had the kidney stone. He was writhing in pain, and we treated him. Pain was gone. And then I said to him, okay, well, you really need to follow up with your doctor about your back arthritis. And he says, what back arthritis? I said, you don't have any back pain? He says, no. And I'm looking at his x-ray, and it's not too different from the guy in my office who I was putting on disability. So how do you have two people with similar x-ray changes? One can't continue to work, and one is doing just fine. Doesn't even know he has degenerative disc disease and all these little bone spurs and things growing in his back. Want me to tell you?
Yes.
Do you have any ideas?
He was more active.
Maybe.
He was eating differently.
Maybe, yeah. So
Different
here,
bodies.
here it is. So remember I said hormones can make you feel more pain or not? Well, not hormones. Unbalanced hormones can make you feel more pain or not, right? So the study was done in birds initially, and they castrated birds and put them in hot water. Well, they were alive, but they stuck them in hot water, and they couldn't tolerate it. But the non-castrated birds who had normal testosterone could stay in the hot water longer. And so someone went, I wonder if testosterone helps you feel less pain. Quite a novel idea, and so they went on and on with that. And I can tell you that a lot of things, but it's not just testosterone, because we have multiple hormones. So name some hormones. Estrogen, progesterone, what else? Testosterone, okay. If I removed your testicles, you would stop making testosterone, right? If I removed your ovaries, you'd stop making estrogen and progesterone, right? Would either of you die? No. You'd be so miserable you wish you were dead, but you wouldn't die, right? So women and men can live without those hormones you mentioned. But what if I removed your adrenal glands that make cortisol and DHEA? What will happen? You will die. What will happen if I removed your thyroid and didn't replace your thyroid hormone? You will die. What if I removed your pancreas and you couldn't make insulin? You will die. So we have quite a few more important hormones, might you not say? And so should we not look at these things before we start chasing after these other things? I don't think so. So when I look at your hormones, I'm not just looking at your estrogen, progesterone, writing you a quick prescription and sending you, as you've noticed already. You don't come in and get a prescription from me on your first visit, because there are so many things to look at. So what's going on with these two guys and their back? First of all, hormones are chemical messengers. They control every function in your body, from your mood to your appetite, to your blood pressure, to your pulse rate, to whether you can make a good body temperature and regulate how you feel, everything. Whether you can burn fat, store fat, changes how you feel pain, changes how you, affects whether you can digest food, your gut function. All these things depend on hormones. or they're controlled and regulated by hormones. So if hormones are chemical messengers, they work in your body's biochemistry. So your biochemistry is that fluid environment inside your cells and around your cells from which you make hormones and in which you use them. So without an optimal biochemistry, it doesn't matter what hormones I give you or how much androgel you slather on yourself. If your biochemistry is not optimal, you're not going to feel great. See, hormones work by lock and key mechanism. So if you have a cell receptor, like a lock, your hormone's the key, unlocks it, make more energy, build muscle, burn fat, regulate body temperature, have a good mood, go to sleep. Lock and key. If there's something in the way, can the lock and key work? Can the key get to the lock? Can it unlock the lock? No. So that's what was happening to me. My tests were all normal, and I was in a state of rapid aging. And that's a serious special. We didn't even have Photoshop in those days, so you can't tell me, Photoshopped picture or anything, right? So you can see the bags, my skin color's more dull and gray. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, but you still look good. Yeah, but I felt like I was 80 years old, and I remember saying this out loud. If this is what it feels like to be 32, I don't even want to know what 40 feels like. Like, I couldn't imagine living to 40. It was so difficult living with all of that pain every single day, and just everything was wrong. I didn't even have restorative sleep. I'd go to sleep, I'd wake up, I'd wonder where the night went. My brain was like all over the place, and I would wake up saying, I think I slept, but I didn't feel like it. Has anyone felt that before? Yeah, that's high cortisol at night, right? So I moved to Canada from a coastal town where, there's not a lot of anything. I mean, we all grew things in the garden, you bought at the market. Even when I was in South Africa for our retreat in March, you ask the people selling their stuff, did you use any pesticides? And they'll go, well, who can afford that? And why? Why do we need that? And then you buy something, and before you can eat it, like I bought some fruit and I kept it, and on the third day it was all rotten. Here I can buy fruit and then I can keep it for 3 months and I'll still look at it and look like a fruit. Because even the bugs don't want to eat the shit we put on our food. Sorry again. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we preserve everything, we add chemicals, we irradiate it, we do all these things. But if you do things, so I came from a place where my body didn't know all these toxins, and then I moved to a farming community, and I was surrounded by wheat and canola farms. What do they use there? Glyphosate,
Pesticides.
right? Pesticides. And then I lived downwind from a pulp and paper mill, so there's two industries that are very toxic, pulp and paper and lumber. And the hospital is right close to a lumber mill. So I was flooded with toxins that my body had never seen before, and that's what was doing it. I had a whole bunch of matchsticks in the locks, and my hormones couldn't work. And a lot of other things happened from the toxins, which we'll talk about. So hormones are made and used in your body's biochemistry, and your biochemistry in caveman's time, only nutrients and genetics affected caveman's biochemistry. Your genes haven't evolved much further from caveman, if at all. So in the last 50, 60 years, we've got over 104,000 man-made chemicals in the environment today. Our bodies have never seen these things before. And 47% of the population have a defect in a gene. Many of you have heard, it sounds like a really bad word. Okay, no, it stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, not what it looks like. right? And so 47% of the population have a defect in that gene, and it didn't matter when we were eating natural food and we didn't surround ourselves with all sorts of chemicals and, let's not pick on hair color because I used to be against coloring my hair until I went green. I gotta look 25, I mean, can you believe it? So, with all these chemicals in the environment, if you're a poor detoxifier, and this is not the only gene, there's a lot of genes that affect your ability to detoxify and process out chemicals. So I, unfortunately, got my mom's genes, and my mom has fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and I had all of those symptoms then. But what we didn't know is that we collect toxins. My dad, on the other hand, can paint my office with the door closed, leave and have no symptoms at all. And I'll walk in 2 weeks later and I'll have a headache and my neck will be burning and I'll be nauseated and I'll go, what the heck was going on here? Like everybody here knows, don't wear perfume and come to the office because I react to it. Cigarette smoke, even in the hospital, I can't discriminate against smokers, but I literally want to vomit when, a heavy smoker comes in and that smells, or I can't handle it because I can't methylate. Methylation is the process by which your body removes toxins. And it's a gene-controlled thing, which we can modify for. So I always look at this in your first visit, we would talk about this, right? Because I can tell this from all of your paperwork. So you filled in, 30-some pages of paperwork? So I don't need to do hundreds and thousands of dollars of private testing. I know in functional medicine there's a lot of testing you can read about and people come in or they'll call and say, oh, but does she know anything about gene testing and about this? Like, why would I have you spend hundreds of dollars? I read your paperwork, I could tell you so many things about yourself that you were like, huh? Right? Looked at your family history, looked at all that, and I was like, okay, these are the areas we need to work on. So we can do that. I don't need to spend your money on things. But anyway, so we are now faced with way more toxins than our genes know what to do with. They accumulate in the biochemistry, they block the hormones from working, and we end up with feeling like we're hormone deficient while we're younger and younger and younger. So, 20 years ago when we opened the clinic, our average patients were 45 plus, right? Like mostly in their early 50s. Today I'm getting patients in their 20s and 30s with the same symptoms that people were having back then. So you can see it manifesting. I mean, just look at people in their 20s. Don't they look older than we did when we were 20? And it's not all the makeup and crap, right? But I mean, have you seen, raise your hand, have you seen this? So why are we in a state of accelerated aging? Because we're stressed out, we don't sleep enough, we're undernourished. And I say undernourished regardless of how much you eat, because your food is nutrient depleted. There is no way you can get everything you need for your body to work properly from food alone. There is just no way. I had a patient say to me, oh, no, I'll just get magnesium from my food. I said, okay. So pull up on Google, how much magnesium in each food. So I'm like, yeah, you'll need to eat a cup of chickpeas and 2 cups of lentils and so much of this and so much of that. And she was like, what? I'm like, well, you said you want to get it from your food, so that's what you got to eat. And then she looks at me, okay, I'll take a pill. Yes, take a pill. Because not only will you gain weight, but then how are you going to get all the other nutrients you need by the time you eat just the foods that give you magnesium? They might give you a few other things, but then if you want to really get out of your food everything, you'll be eating a truckload of food every day. So, caveman was very simple. His genes and his food gave him his biochemistry, he made hormones. Granted, he died earlier. Most of them died in their 30s from attacks, trauma, and illnesses that they didn't know how to treat, right? So, oh well. We're not there today, but we're way worse today than back 50, 60 years ago. So when people say to me, oh, but my grandma is so healthy and she doesn't take hormones and she does, my grandma's 90 years old and still, I just had someone tell me that this week. She's 90 years old and she's still bowling and walking up and down the stairs and this and that. Her heritage, guess what? She's not Canadian, she's from Europe. Europe has very different rules around food. They don't allow most of the pesticides and food additives that we have here. You don't believe me, go Google it. For example, ketchup in Europe has 3 or 4 ingredients. Ketchup in Canada and the US has what? 8, 12 ingredients? Between the food coloring and the preservatives and the additives and the this and that. Do you know why they do that to food? To get you addicted. Many of these molecules actually addict your brain to wanting more of those foods. And sugar is another thing. So first of all, this lady's from Europe. Their food rules are different. Second of all, she was born 90 years ago. They didn't have any of the chemicals we have today. Not one. So do you think she started out healthier than all of us? Yes. If you have children, I'll tell you something that's really shocking. Our children are the first generation that will not outlive us. Meaning every generation prior lived longer than the generation before. And it is predicted that our children will not have the same lifespan. Not that we want lifespan, but I mean, let's assume lifespan matters. They will not live as long as us. And sure, some people are blaming the food, and some people are blaming the habits and the devices and them not moving and they not. It all matters, but I want to tell you that it has to do with the toxins and the stress that these kids are undergoing, for the most part. And they are in a state of accelerated aging, as you've all agreed that everyone's looking older faster. So, back to these 2 men. See, I didn't forget. But when you have stress, your body makes a hormone called cortisol. So if you have a lot of stress, let's say you had abusive parents, let's say you had financial trouble, you're working 3 jobs, you've got kids that are, you know what kids are, you got divorced, you moved, somebody died. I mean, people have stress, don't they? Most people have stress morning, noon, and night and while they're sleeping. Caveman did not. You are not supposed to be thinking about how you're going to pay your bills or who did the laundry or how you're going to wake up early and get the kids out the door while you're sleeping. You're supposed to go to sleep. And then you're supposed to wake up and carry on with your day. Well, who does that? So the more stress you have, the more hormones you make. The more hormones you make, the more you're depleting your biochemistry and the stores of the nutrients you have. So everything's getting depleted, right? Your nutrients feed your biochemistry helps you make and use hormones, right? So you're making a lot of stress coping hormones, so you're depleting your biochemistry and your nutrient stores, which leads you to a state of depletion. So this is why everybody who comes to our clinic gets, I don't have green, my favorite color green, and it's not here. So we work on repletion. Because if you come to me depleted, how am I supposed to give you hormones and help you use them if I don't replete you first? Cortisol changes your pain threshold. Cortisol at normal levels is essential for every other hormone to work. When cortisol is too high or too low, it affects how your body can make and use hormones at the cell receptor site. So that's why you don't just get hormones from me when you start working with me. It's because there's so many other things. So this guy who's on disability, people who are stressed feel more pain. People who are stressed have more inflammation. There's a bunch of things that cause inflammation. So, yes, you were right. Diet and lifestyle affect cortisol, but past stress and trauma and current stress and all the things we go through, toxicity, how efficient are we at removing? Some of us are very inefficient at moving. I don't move toxins out of my body at all. I mean, you guys have seen the supplements I take. I have to supplement every single pathway for my body to work, which is why I can be this way today as opposed to how I was then. I was a size extra large then. Whether I did the cabbage soup diet, whether I did Atkins, whether I starved, whether I ate chocolate cake for breakfast, I just kept growing. So I decided to keep eating chocolate cake for breakfast because at least it tasted good. So, when you have a lot of stress, it upsets everything. There's a thing called adrenal fatigue. Some of you may have heard of it. Have you? It's called the 21st century stress syndrome. And basically, 20, 30 years ago, it was a big naturopathic diagnosis. And it was talking about the depletion that occurs from stress. And all of the focus was on taking vitamins to keep if you think about it like this, you have a tank of gas. And with cortisol, you're supposed to start your morning with a full tank of gas, right? Because you make the most amount of cortisol in the morning, and then it drops through the day. So when you have adrenal fatigue, you have less of a tank of gas to start with, because your body's tired, and it's not making enough of your stress coping. The simple act of waking up is a stressful thing in the body, and it changes your cortisol levels. So if you're starting with less, as you're going through the day, you have even less, and so now what? You don't have enough of what you need to keep doing what you need to do. Because cortisol gives you energy, both mental and physical energy. So if you start your day with half a tank of gas, and then you try driving uphill, you're going to empty the tank faster, and then people wonder why they don't feel great, right? But what that whole syndrome of adrenal fatigue didn't take into consideration is that when you burn out your body chemistry, you're burning out your brain chemistry as well. And in the later stages of this burnout, the mind is affected. Your neurochemistry that affects your mood, your sense of well-being, all of this. So today we call it hypothalamo-pituitary-adrenal axis dysregulation. Say that after me.
That was long. It's okay.
You can call it HPA axis dysfunction, right? But what it is that the hypothalamus and the pituitary are your two master glands in the brain. One makes releasing hormone, so one talks to the other, then the other talks to the glands. So when you have disruption between the hypothalamus and the pituitary, the mechanism's disrupted, and then how the pituitary talks to your thyroid, talks to your adrenals, talks to your testicles or your ovaries. All of that is disrupted. So you can see how stress affects hormone balance. So now do you understand why I don't give people hormones at the very beginning? For multiple reasons. One, I got to clean up the biochemistry, open up the receptors. Two, I got to figure out what role is stress playing. That's why you all get a stress impact assessment, right? So for this 20-year-old, had some awful things happen in his personal life, and it's the stress. So if stress disrupts this, am I going to go throw testosterone at him? Or am I going to help him calm his body system first? And help him. So plastics, I don't know if you know how toxic plastics are. Plastics, phthalates, anything, parabens, all these things are very disruptive. They're called endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs. And there's a whole list of them, and they come from, they're in everything. They're in your, so gasoline, exhaust fumes, the plastic lining your coffee cup when you buy a Starbucks, the plastic in your shampoo bottles, the plastic your food's wrapped in, the Tupperware you store your food in, like all of this. It's endocrine disrupting chemicals. That is why we have girls at age 9 and 10 starting to get periods. Their hormones are unbalanced because of what we're doing to them in the environment. So for this kid, I would first get him off of plastics. Hand sanitizer is a terrible thing. I doubt he works in an industry where he needs to use it. But hand sanitizer also has things that block testosterone production. Plastics and stress would be two of the biggest things, and then all of the toxins. So with him, I would want to re-regulate his nervous system. So on the topic of the nervous system, in the last 2-3 years, in the field of functional medicine, we've been talking a lot about the vagus nerve. Have any of you heard of the vagus nerve?
Mm-hmm.
So it is the longest cranial nerve in your body. No one ever paid attention to this, but for many, many years, I mean, even if you go back to Eastern medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, they all look at this concept of your mind affecting your body. For some reason, Western medicine doesn't think so. And there's certain systems of thought where there's a book called When the Body Says No. This person has written extensively about how your trauma, your stress, your thoughts, all of these things quite literally get stuck inside your cells. And some people manifest their emotional symptoms as physical symptoms. And in my world, which is not traditional medicine, we have the stress impact assessment now to sort of see. It's not precise, but it's to look at the impact of your past stress and trauma and how it's affecting you today. Because when that vagus nerve gets stuck, you literally can't calm your body down. And there's a system, there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Sympathetic is overdrive. Stress, 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 you know, go at top speed, all of that. And then parasympathetic should balance it out, and now you should have some calm. But how many people are on the go morning, noon, and night, and while they're sleeping? It's either in their brain or they're going, they can't stop, they have 50,000 things to do, they never keep up with all the things they have to do, and they don't know how to relax. And some of them are geared that way because of the childhood, and because of the messages, or because of the trauma, or whatever. And so it is so not simple to treat patients in functional medicine today. That's why I do the retreats. Because the retreats are immersive, you get to live the lifestyle that I'm trying to teach you, and we can talk a lot about the things that we never get to talk about in the office. So Janice is not here, but she's been a patient for decades. She's been to maybe 10 or 11 of my workshops. And I was surprised that she had registered today, but she just says, every time I come, I learn something new from you because you say it in a different way, or I hear it in a different way, or you have a new story, and you know. So the last workshop she was at, she was like, why didn't you ever put it that way before? Because we take everyone off of caffeine as part of the initial process, because we're trying to remove caffeine from your liver enzyme pathways so I can shift toxins out, right? And caffeine competes with the toxins. So if I'm trying to clear your biochemistry and you're putting a competitor in there, then you're going to tell me my process didn't work, but actually you did work, right? Or you're still not working. And where was I going? To the retreat. When you're my regular patient, you'll call, like we'll do our visit and we'll go through all your labs and we tailor it to what's going on at this moment. We never get to sit and deep dive into all these other things, whether you're breathing and meditating and why it's important. Like I used to tell everybody to meditate, and no one does it. And they'll tell me every reason why they are not doing it. But you know, when we're sitting together and we're having group discussions or we're doing workshops, and they go, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, maybe now I will. You know? So the retreat, this one that's coming up in January, we're together for 10 days. But I have someone who works on calming the vagus nerve. We're doing fascial release, we're doing breath work, we're doing fascia-informed yoga. So every single day, you're learning a new skill set so that when you come home, you just continue that. And what was really interesting was this last group that we took. everyone that I follow up with they don't have all the results in every area that we taught them, but that's kind of expecting much. But everyone has something that they're winning at, that they weren't winning at before. And it was just amazing. Because one lady, her IBS and her arthritis settled within the retreat. 2 people, their chronic insomnia was gone. We didn't do all that much. Like literally, we were just doing stuff every single morning. Then we went out drinking wine and eating fish and chips and all that other stuff. And I didn't expect anyone to get results on the retreat. I thought all I can hope for, this was my goal. If you come on this retreat with me, I'm going to teach you what to do for when you come back home. But my only goal for you is that you learn how to go on vacation and not come back with 5 or 10 pounds more than you left. That's all I wanted, because I'm so fed up of every year patients come and we're starting from scratch again. Like, we make progress, then the holidays happen, and then we're starting again. And then we make progress, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this retreat. I'm just going to teach you how to not gain weight. That's all I'm going to do. And when you see the results, it is mind-blowing, because I was not going to do another one. That was a lot of work trying to figure something out in a different country, halfway across the world, in a different time zone. It was a lot. But when that retreat gave us results that we got, I was like, gotta do another one. Like, gotta do another one. Because I think it's just that immersiveness, us being there 24/7, coaching, guiding, and just living it. It was just, it was mind-blowing for me. But anyway, here we are. The guy that had the dysregulated nervous system had more pain. The guy that didn't have pain was more muscle, so we know naturally he had more testosterone. So even if you're supposed to have a testosterone of 400 when you're 50, if you carry extra muscle mass, your testosterone will be higher. The more muscle you have, you manage your testosterone better. The problem is, you need testosterone to make the muscle. So, my philosophy is clean up the biochemistry, use what you have. Now, if you tell me you're on testosterone and you still have symptoms, what do you know about your testosterone replacement? Yes, it's not working, but what else?
It's not enough.
No, I bet you I could double them both and they still will feel the same. Because no one's looked at their biochemistry, right? No one's looked at their cortisol, and I said you need cortisol optimally at the cell receptor site for your hormones to work. So even,
Does that mean if you're highly stressed, then I wouldn't be working as good?
Stress has a huge role. That's why I mentioned the nervous system. That's why I put this retreat on for next year. It's because, honestly, I have been doing this for almost 20 years now, and I can tell you, you can do so much for some people. You can do absolutely everything. You can look for, do you need a bathroom? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I do need a bathroom, but I need to stand.
Okay. If you need to go desperately, you can.
No, I can wait. Is it okay if I stand?
Absolutely. In fact, everybody should stand because of sitting disease. Do you know about sitting disease? It's worse than smoking. So everybody stand. Come on.
There you go.
My bad.
Let's everybody get up. Thank you.
I'm going to sitting disease.
Yes. Perfect.
What's the sitting disease?
Good job. So sitting disease, another longevity thing, right? Sitting disease is worse than smoking. It releases more inflammatory markers in the body. So your hour in the gym really isn't all that you need, because if you're sitting all day, your inner health is, you might be physically fit and strong, but it doesn't mean your inner health is optimized.
So you need movement.
You need to move every hour, so set your alarms for every hour and move. So at the hospital when I'm working, I don't sit. I stand, I have a counter that I stand at, and everybody goes, oh, that's Dr. Iyer's desk, and I'm like, yeah. Because I will stand the whole way, and I wear a weight vest, and I wear ankle weights, because I don't move a lot. Like, I'm walking from here to the water and back, and then I'm making my notes, and then I'm going to the next bed, and I'm coming back, and it's not anything useful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, that's explaining the two guys and why they have different results. And that brings me to personalized precision preventive medicine. 3 or 4 tubes of blood and slathering on testosterone is not personalized, it's not precision, it's not looking at you as a biochemically unique individual. It's not looking at the role your genes play, the role your stress plays, whether you can make or use your hormones. It doesn't look at the interplay between the life-sustaining hormones and the non-life-sustaining hormones. And I firmly believe if we want healthy aging and longevity, you got to have hormone balance. But it's not just taking a prescription. On that note, bioidentical hormones. So a lot of people will say that it's not good, the pharmacies can make mistakes. A lot of people in the field of longevity say they will never use compounded hormones. You see how many patients I see and how many patients we have. If I didn't get results, we got a referral today. So if compounded hormones didn't work, why am I getting so many? 90% of my practice is from referrals. We don't advertise. Right? So why are my patients referring patients? Because it works. Could it work if there was no merit to bioidentical compounded hormones? So what is bioidentical? So we'll go back to, if you ever heard of the study in the early 2000s, it was called the WHI, and they said hormones are bad, every woman should stop, they're going to kill you, blah, 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 blah. And then later on, what did they find? They found, and please feel free to sit now if you need to. So what they found is that women had estrogen, or they had estrogen and progestin. Progestin is a synthetic man-made molecule. It isn't the same as the key for the lock as progesterone. It works kind of similar. It's kind of like, how in your house you can take one bedroom key and Jimmy another bedroom key and it might open, but then you can't drive your car with my car key. Some are very specific and some are not so specific, right? So why do pharmaceutical companies like to create their own hormones? Because when you create something, you patent it and you can charge many, many, many thousands more per year for that molecule than something that exists in nature. So you cannot patent a molecule that exists in nature. So you cannot patent vitamin C, you cannot patent testosterone in its biochemically natural form. You have to change it a bit, you have to add something to it, and then you can patent it. So bioidentical hormones are plant sterol molecules, never mind that phrase, it's like HPA axis, hypothalamo pituitary adrenal axis. So they take this molecule and then they modify it. And when you look at that molecule and you look at your own body's hormone, they look identical. There is no difference. So it's the precise key that goes into the lock and unlocks. It's not a sort of key trying to unlock the lock and then you get side effects. Right? Because you can't make side effects to something your own body makes. Make sense? And yes, many doctors can find arguments in what I'm saying, and I can address that later, but here for now, I'm talking about bioidentical hormones. The WHI was using Premarin. Premarin is from pregnant mare's urine. That's why it's called Premarin. It's a horse estrogen. So Premarin was given to women, and then Premarin and progestins were given to the women with uteruses, right? And then they stopped the study because they were so alarmed that women were dying of heart disease and increased cancer and this and that. Everybody should stop. Well, 10 years later, when they're looking back at the data, what did they find? Bioidentical to a horse to a horse, hormone was still safer for women than a synthetic hormone made in a lab. So these women actually had benefit. And now when they look back, they go, oh my, estrogen protects your bone health, it protects your brain health, it lowers dementia, it decreases the risk for colon cancer, manages what we know now is that estrogen helps your cholesterol balance, your heart health, your blood vessel health. Do we not need that? So why are we so afraid of it? We're afraid of it because people always look at studies wrong. They want to prove a certain something. It's exactly the way the cholesterol myth started. Cholesterol is bad for you. Is it really? Because cortisol? Can you run to my desk? You know I have that chart on my desk. Bring that for me. The simple one on top, not the complicated one. Actually, bring the complicated one. Cholesterol is the parent molecule of cortisol. Can you live without cortisol? No! So why would God or Mother Nature, in all its wisdom, give you a molecule called cholesterol, and then if it was that bad for you, you would die without it? Does that make any sense? Thank you. Makes no sense whatsoever. But I have something else to tell you. So cholesterol becomes cortisol. Cholesterol becomes DHEA, that same hormone that was shown to be associated with longevity and health span. Cholesterol becomes testosterone, becomes estrogen, becomes progesterone, and trust me, my kids will divorce me if I went on progesterone, because I'm a psychopathic off of it. And the anxiety is like wild. I can't sleep. No, progesterone's amazing for the brain. So, just because a woman doesn't have a uterus, does she lose her brain? Does she lose her bone? Progesterone's critical for brain and bone health. But in medicine, if you have a uterus, you don't get progesterone. You get progesterone, but if you don't have a uterus, then you don't get progesterone. So women who've had a hysterectomy suddenly don't have a brain we should care about. They don't have bone we should care about. I don't know why. Right? And the studies are all well published. In Europe, they use IV progesterone for traumatic brain injury in men and women both, because it's a neurosteroid and it protects the brain. So men also have progesterone in their bodies, just not as much as we do. We have testosterone, just not as much as you do, right? So cholesterol goes up when you have a viral infection, when you have a high toxic burden. So I don't run out and give everybody a cholesterol lowering drug when I see their cholesterols. I want to put them through the process and see how their body resets. And by and large, most people will reset. So God would not have given us cholesterol and make it such an important molecule that we will die without it. So there's a disease called inborn errors of metabolism. It's a genetic defect that babies have, and it's for different things. You might have heard of phenylketonuria, different things, right? And so when these babies are born and they can't do a certain process, then certain things happen. Well, babies who are born with defects of cholesterol metabolism die. So again, I'll ask you, is cholesterol supposed to be so low because it's bad? No. What Ansel Keys did, that's his name, set out to prove that red meat is bad and red meat affects your cholesterol and high cholesterol is bad. So he did his study, and then he discovered that in some parts of the world, like the Mediterranean, they didn't get high cholesterol, so he left them out of the study. Conveniently. So conveniently that he fooled the whole medical establishment with false science. He literally changed his data to support the theory that red meat is bad, cholesterol is bad, and you should not eat red meat because it gives you high cholesterol. So you can Google this, it's public knowledge now, I'm not making this up.
What's his name again?
Ansel Keys. Yes. Or is it quicker to go this way?
It's open? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Might be quicker to go this way. So that's Ansel Keys and the cholesterol story. So we don't react to everything without asking why. What was the master plan? How is your body supposed to work, and why is it not working? And then now we come to do you want to go pee quickly too?
Sure.
Just because then when you come come back, I'll start on digestion. I don't wanna start now, and we have stall bathrooms down the hall, so if you guys wanna have a quick break and come back, that's really,
You need the key then.
yes! Sabina, you'll get them, thank you. She's getting you guys the key to go down the hall. Yeah, I think there's 3 stalls, so it's enough. Yes, a pee break in between drink, good idea. My son turns 21 tomorrow. So I've got a house full of teenagers right now. My youngest turned 18 12 days ago, 11 days ago.
Lots of fun.
I bought tequila for him to try tequila shots. Do you know why? I don't ever want him to drink.
Okay.
So yes, of course he hated it.
Yeah.
I've been doing that since my kids were 13. They hate liquor.
No, but you know what, honestly, I say that in jest because I don't know what happened to my children because I love wine and I quite love whiskey, but wine is my thing. And so if you watch my videos from years ago when I teach about adrenal fatigue, I'll say, I'm just waiting for someone to make wine that has all the vitamins and minerals and adaptogens and herbs that I need to treat my adrenal fatigue because wine is my thing, But no, neither of them will drink even a Coke. They don't do caffeine, they will not have tea or coffee, they'll do a bit of hot chocolate. The oldest is 21, he could have been drinking since 18. Odd, rare occasion, he might have a cooler. But 9 out of 10 times you say, hey, we're at, like when he was at college and I'd go visit him, I'd take him out to a nice dinner because you know he's not eating well when I'm not there. So of course I'll have a glass of wine. I'll say, would you like a cocktail? Mom, did you know that alcohol is a brain toxin? Really? You think I didn't know that? Thanks for telling me. Yeah, so because it's a brain toxin, he prefers to not drink alcohol.
So that's why, not because he just doesn't like it?
And he doesn't like it.
Or you also conditioned him? That way?
Oh God, no, I drink wine, come on, like I have wine almost, It's only in the last year that I've stopped buying wine for the house. Because I used to love getting home, pouring a glass of wine, and back in the day when I started this, the rule was 3 drinks a week for women and 5 for men.
Okay.
And I didn't like that rule because it's 5 ounces as a serving. That's 2 sips of wine, literally. Like, who's going to drink 5 ounces of wine at one point? And Dr. Carr, who's our director of medical education, and we have countless videos laughing about this whole thing. We'll go, okay, we'll just drink the whole week's worth of wine today, because who wants to drink 5 ounces? So, as science progresses, my opinion changes. So a lot of people will say, oh, well, what kind of doctor are you? Because you said this then, and now you're saying something completely opposite. Yeah. You know what? 8-10 years ago, I was plant-based. Because that was what was the thing to do. It was supposed to be the healthiest thing, and the science was around it. But since then, they've proven that animal protein is the most bioavailable protein there is. It's 100% absorbed by the body. Plant-based protein, 40 to 60%. So I have to eat that much more. And it bloats most people. It's not good for the digestive system. Oh, I could just eat meat. So now we're more a carnivore-based kind of thing. Like we will eat meat first before we ever eat vegetables in my house. And my kids are very much like that. They'll eat meat first. They just know. So yes, conditioned for that. But how they didn't become alcoholics, I don't know. Because, there's always been wine and whiskey in the house, and when their dad was living with me, I'd get home, we'd pour the wine, we'd have dinner, and then he and I would sit together, and we'd have another glass. We'd drink 2 or 3 glasses of wine in an evening, no problem. My saving grace is I work ER, and so for my time in ER, I'm alcohol-free for 4 or 5 days at a time. But, we've never drank to get drunk or anything, but it's the social and it's socially acceptable. It helps you relax theoretically. It's supposed to be good for you, but yeah, and then the science changed. And it was the recommended amount of alcohol for women is what? Today, current science, what is the, it used to be 3 drinks a week, what do you think it is now? None.
Oh,
What do you think it is for men? None.
it's not.
None.
You mean no alcohol for everybody?
None. There's no recommended allowance for alcohol because it's proven to be a carcinogen. So you can have no other risk factors other than drinking alcohol and you can get cancer. You can do everything else right, but you can get cancer. Alcohol is a brain toxin. My son is right. Guess what? We're living in a world of accelerated dementia.
Yeah.
How many of you know people with dementia? And if I asked you this 10 years ago, would you have put your hand up? Probably not. We barely knew what dementia was. It would happen to old people. Right? We didn't know 48-year-olds and 50-some-year-olds with dementia. Cortisol shrinks the brain and cortisol shrinks the hippocampus, which is your memory center. That is one of the reasons we're seeing so much dementia now. Cortisol accelerates aging of all of you, every part of you. It tears down muscle. It interferes with sleep. Sleep deprivation is another huge accelerator of dementia. So all of the science is now pointing to when you sacrifice sleep, you're accelerating your path to dementia. But guess what? You need hormones to sleep. You need balanced hormones to sleep. So can we just say, go get a good night's sleep? Well, if your hormones are off and you don't have progesterone, you're never going to sleep well. And you need estrogen, and you need testosterone, and you need the right amount of cortisol, not too much or not too little. You need melatonin. We need to look at your cortisol-melatonin ratio. There's so adenosine and caffeine and all these things. And adenosine is actually the hormone of sleep. It creates sleep pressure. But things that we do in the day, like not seeing daylight when we wake up, drinking caffeine, it changes adenosine, and then we want to know why we don't sleep. I just read an article today about oxytocin, you know, the love hormone. Good reason to have intercourse every night, orgasms every night. Oxytocin's released, helps you sleep better. No, I'm teasing you.
I like
You
that.
No, but I'm not joking. Do you know, most people are so shy to talk about sexual health.
Sure.
And, you know, I have patients, I do physicals on all of my patients because I'm not saying I'm better than everybody else, but I've had patients, I had a patient who was sent to me because I do hormones. He's got his own doctorate, he's got a functional medicine doctor, in the family, and she didn't want to treat him, so she sent him to me, and I said, no, I'm going to do your full physical. He's been for a full physical every year. And I did his physical, and I'm like, you're missing a pulse in one leg. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, there's something wrong. Sent him for an ultrasound, had a blood clot, because I told you that diabetics age faster in their blood vessels than, so they're 20 years older. He had a blood clot, he could have lost his leg. All I did was feel for his pulses, and then I realized that. And then I had another patient who came in, and she saw Dr. Wu for acupuncture. And he called me and he said, you should come feel this abdomen. And she had this huge uterus. Well, he didn't know. I mean, he knew it was her uterus, but he didn't know what it was, right? She had a 20-week pregnancy-sized uterus. She's been getting full physicals by her doctor every year for 5 years. He's been doing a pap test on her for 5 years. Never once noticed that her uterus was all the way up to her belly button. And so now I just go, I will do a full physical on all of my, I don't care if you have a family doctor, not going to happen. I am doing your physical at least once and getting that based on. We just had a patient who came for a full physical. He has a family doctor, and I looked at something on his back, and it turned out to be skin cancer. I sent him to derm, got it biopsied, and there it was. Cancer, done. I'm not saying, but I only see 6 or 8 people in a day. I don't see 20 or 30 people in a day. So I don't have to rush through everything. Right? So yes, we're going to talk about the gut. Remember I said that so we waited for you to come back from PA to do this. So, remember I said that you have to think about having a tank of gas, right? So if we think about this as your Lamborghini, right? Like your body as your Lamborghini. You want to put the best gas, premium gas in the tank, correct? Because you wouldn't drive a Lamborghini with just regular fuel or whatever. Don't steal it from my car, I drive a diesel. I really need another car. I need another color, if I can, please. So, if you put the best gas in here, but the fuel line is not working well, is the gas going to get to the engine for you to drive your car? No. So now, I've already told you, one, hormones are only a small piece of the puzzle. Green, please.
Sorry, I just love the blue color.
Yeah, but I just, it's getting messy now with too many of the same colors here. So, if I'm going to put gas in the tank and I'm going to get it here, I want it to get there. I don't want it to be obstructed. So even though hormones are vital for health span and longevity, you see what a small piece of the puzzle they are when you look at everything else. So, we said that nutrients shape your biochemistry and your biochemistry helps you to make and use hormones. Can you make hormones without nutrients? No. So you put your nutrients as the gas in the tank and it's got to get to the engine. Then this whole thing can work. So now, do you see also why I can't give you hormones on your first visit? I cannot. We already said we need to know about your stress and all this and everything else. But as if that wasn't important enough, this would be the most critical, right? So you got to look after the digestion. Well, did you know that cortisol affects your digestion? It gives you something called leaky gut. Well, there's bazillions of things that cause leaky gut, but a stuck vagus nerve will keep your leaky gut leaky no matter what I do for you. A stuck vagus nerve and high cortisol will keep you inflamed even if I take away all of the things that usually cause inflammation. And inflammation drives all the chronic diseases you do not want. So in your first report, Rosie, you had that big triangle and you saw little triangles inside of it. I think it was on the second or the third page. When you saw me for your first lab report visit, there's a big triangle and then there's, oh gosh, can I even draw that? Are there four, where's Hannah? I think there's 4 triangles or 5. Anyway, the middle one is called the gut immune brain triangle. So I will tell you that when your gut is inflamed or you have leaky gut, your brain is inflamed. Think back, so yeah, okay, we're all like similar. Think back to when we were in, what do you call primary school here? Elementary school. When we were all in elementary school and junior high, how many kids had ADHD? Nobody! There was no kid bouncing off the walls.
Because they exercise us back then.
That's true.
But we didn't have inflamed guts because we didn't have all the shit in our food. We didn't eat sugar and we didn't drink caffeine and we didn't have all this nonsense happening. We didn't have toxins. When your gut is inflamed, there is a direct connection between your gut and your brain. This nervous system is called the second brain. Believe it or not, when we all did biology, there was only the brain, the spinal cord, and all the nerves that came out of it. Yeah, no. There's actually a separate nervous system that runs from your gut to your brain. And it has nothing to do with your regular nervous system, except that the vagus nerve affects it too. See how complicated it gets? You gotta work through all of these pieces of the puzzle for each person, and it's different, right? So, when your gut's inflamed and your brain's inflamed, I'm seeing 50-year-olds, 55-year-old patients saying, oh, my doctor just diagnosed me with ADHD and I'm taking ADHD meds. Well, if you look at the psych guidelines, it's a disease of childhood, apparently. So then how are 50-some-year-olds getting diagnosed with it? No, they've got inflammation and their brain's inflamed and their second, it's called the second brain, is not working. When your gut's inflamed and your brain is inflamed, you don't sleep. You can't focus. You have memory issues. You get brain fog. You have mood issues. You can have anxiety. So do you think you got a deficiency of Prozac? You're short on, what's the famous sleeping pill? No. Imavane. Are people deficient in Imavane so they can't sleep? Or is it maybe that their gut's inflamed, their brain's inflamed, they're low on progesterone, their brain chemistry is off? So I don't treat brain issues too quickly because I want to make sure that your fuel can get to the tank, to the engine. So I have to treat constipation, I have to look after leaky gut. Constipation, I don't want to ask you guys about your bowel habits in a group, but everyone's had issues with their gut. You've either had constipation or diarrhea at some point in your life and you know how bad that feels. But what you may not have noticed is your brain doesn't work as well when your gut's not working. Now you can pay attention. There's also, who's heard of the microbiome? Okay, so there's how many trillion cells in the body? So many trillion. Okay, so many trillion cells in your body. There's 100 times more bacteria in your gut than there are cells in your body. Say no way.
There's a lot going on there.
I was gonna say no shit, but I didn't follow me on that one. So your microbiome is actually critical to your overall well-being. First of all, more than half your poop is dead bacteria. So if you don't have enough of a microbiome, you're gonna get constipated. That's not the only reason people get constipated. They might have thyroid hormone not working. I'm pointing because my thyroid was there but not there. You know, so you need thyroid, you need magnesium, you need vitamin C, you need like lots of different things in order for your gut to work. But your microbiome and all these, like you gotta wonder, why did God or Mother Nature give us 100 many trillions of bacteria and bugs to live in our gut?
Sounds complicated.
Very, because they train your immune system. They help you to digest food. They help you balance hormones. They affect your brain chemistry. So certain bacteria affect GABA, which is your calming hormone. And if you don't have enough healthy bacteria, your brain's gonna suffer. It trains your immune system, so that's why we have the gut immune brain triad. Most of your immune system, more than 70% of your immune system sits around your gut. Because that's your weakest system. Why? Your gut is actually the outside on the inside of you.
Could you say that again, please?
I was just gonna say, I'll say that again. Your gut, the inside of your gut is the outside world inside of you. Because you have an opening, and it's a big tube, and it's open to the outside, and the outside is on the inside of you.
Okay.
And it is one cell layer thick. A single cell layer in your gut protecting your outside from your inside. And think of all the stuff that enters your body. like we think we're so clean when we're eating, but you don't know what sat on your food, what's in your food, what toxins are there. You have no idea. And honestly, my stomach was turning when I took that module in my course, because I was like, I don't want to know. Oh, I don't want to know that, right? It's. But anyway.
It's crazy.
You need a healthy microbiome, but your food has toxins that affect your microbiome. You can change your whole microbiome in 3 days by changing your diet. You can affect your microbiome by traveling by airplane and staying in a hotel. Negatively, you'll affect it. There's any number of things that affect your microbiome. So we put everybody on certain types of probiotics and we rotate them and we try to get you a good, healthy gut bacteria. So that's why each time you refill your probiotics, you're going to get a different kind, because we're giving you different ones because you need that many.